Students, today we'll be starting our new chapter, which is optics. Okay, and in that chapter we will be studying about light. Okay, and like we have studied modern physics, students, and there we already studied about that light has dual nature, right? So here in optics, what we say that here in optics we say that light is of wave nature. Okay, light is of what nature, students? It is of wave nature. Okay, in this chapter, because we already know about reflection, refraction, polarization, diffraction, all these phenomena are explained by this nature of light, which is wave nature. Okay, so in this chapter we will be considering that light is of wave nature. Okay, light is a wave. Okay, so now here we are having a few points here. You can see that like this is radio wave, microwave, infrared, visible light, ultraviolet, x-ray, gamma rays. So this is the electromagnetic spectrum, or this is what, student? This is electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so first of all, we'll start from point first. Okay, what is it saying? You can see here what it says. It says that speed of light in vacuum is denoted by c, and it is equal to 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, and we already know about this thing, right? We already know that speed of light is c, which is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meters per second. We have already studied this thing, and this is the speed of light in which medium, students? It is in which medium? It is in vacuum, right?
Vacuum, sir.
Yeah, very good. This is the speed of light in vacuum. Okay, so we know that speed of light in vacuum is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, and we must admit this, that this speed of light is maximum. This is the maximum speed of anything possible in this universe. Okay, what we assume here is that 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second, it is the maximum speed of anything possible. Okay, if we talk about light also in other mediums, its speed decreases. Okay, the speed of light decreases when we move from one medium to other. Like if we are talking about some other medium like air, but in air also we say that the speed of light is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, the difference is very small. That is why we say that in air also we assume the speed of light as 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, but in other mediums, like if we are talking about water, if we are talking about glass, okay, if we are talking about other mediums, in there also we say that speed of light is less than 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, and speed of light changes when we move from one medium to other. And since we say that light is a wave, in this chapter we are considering that light is a wave. What we say, there are few parameters, there are few wave parameters, right? What are they? One is wavelength, one is frequency, and the other is speed, right? These are the three parameters for a wave. We already know about these three parameters, right? That lambda, frequency, and c is the speed, f is the frequency, lambda is the wavelength. Okay, so what we say that speed of light, if we are talking about speed of light, it is maximum in vacuum. In air also we assume it that as 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. But when we move to other mediums like water, glass, and others, we say that speed of light is what, students? Speed of light decreases. Okay, whenever we talk about other mediums, we say that speed of light decreases. Okay, in every medium speed of light will decrease, and decrease from 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. Okay, now we are moving to other points. What we say, see here, what is it saying? That light is electromagnetic wave. Okay, and this is proposed by Maxwell. It consists of varying electric field and magnetic field. You see, students, what this point is saying, that light is an electromagnetic wave. Okay, and first of all, let's learn something about waves. Okay, we already know few things about waves, students, right? What are waves? How do waves propagate? We know about waves. How do waves propagate? Waves propagate in two forms. Okay, like if we are talking about sound wave, it propagates how? In the form of compression and rarefaction. What happens? That if whatever whenever we say something, what happens? We compress the air just in front of our mouth. Okay, the air which is just in front of our mouth, what do? We just compress that air, right? And when we compress that air, what happens? The energy from my vocal cord is transferred to the medium, transferred to the particles of the space, right? And those particles, what do that do? What do those particles do? Those particles transfer their energy to the particles next to them, and in this way the energy is transferred. Okay, so this is how we say what are waves, students? We already know about waves. What are waves? Waves is a form of energy, right? Waves are what, students? Waves are energy. Okay, waves are what? Energy. So whenever we say that wave is propagating from one place to another, what is propagating in reality? In reality, what is moving from one place to other? That is energy, right? Like you say, let's say, let's take one example. Like if you are standing in a queue somewhere, okay, maybe taking your college forms or anything, okay, you are standing in a queue, and what if you push the man who is just the man, or anyone, the human being who is just in front of you, okay, just in front of you. If you push one man, what you did? You transferred a bit of your energy to the man who is just in front of you, and then after that he will transfer the energy to the man who is next to him, then he will transfer to the man next to him, and this energy, it will get transferred to the last man who is standing in the queue, right? This happens. So this is how energy transfer takes place, students, right? So if we are talking about waves here, what do we say? That waves are what? It is a form of energy, right? What are waves, students? It is a form of energy, and this energy propagates. How it propagates? With the help of particles, with the help of medium particles, right? So when we are talking about medium particles, like say if I am saying something to you and it is getting, like if I am saying something, if you are sitting in front of me, I am saying something and you can hear that, right? So how this happens? That I say something, the air in front of my mouth, it compresses, it gets compressed, pressure increases, okay, pressure increases, volume decreases, then after that that energy get transferred to, like, it is like this, students, you can see it here, like that. If we are talking about compressions and rarefactions, you can see here. Okay, this is how sound wave, here I am talking about sound waves. So this is how sound waves propagate, students. Okay, in the form of compression and rarefaction. What happens first here, students? You can see, whenever I say there is a compression, like the air particles are very compressed. Okay, the air particles are compressed. Now here pressure is increased, volume is decreased. Here this is called rarefaction, students. Here what happens? Here the particles are too far away from each other, and the here we can say that pressure decreases, volume increases. Here again we can say that pressure increases, volume decreases. So this keeps on going, and the energy keeps on traveling from this point to this point. Okay, so this is how sound waves travel. If we are talking about sound waves, this is how we can say that this is how sound waves travel. Okay, and like we have talked about waves in our previous grades, where we have seen, where we must have seen that waves need a material medium to travel, right? We all know that waves need. If if I'll let us say that I am taking a room, and what will I do? I'll just push all the air from this room outward, outside the room. What did I do, students? What did I do? I created vacuum here. Okay, in this room I created vacuum, and let us say I am here, I am standing here, and this is Sarthak. Okay, and if I am saying something to Sarthak, would you be able to hear me?
In a vacuum, no, sir.
Not at all. Very good, very good. Not at all. We won't be able to hear anything. Okay, and if I'll light up a bulb, will you be able to see me, and will I be able to see you?
Yes, sir, because light does travel in a vacuum.
Very good, very good. Because that was the point of discussion, that we are considering light as wave, right? We are considering light as what, students? We are considering light as a wave. So if it is a wave, then it must require a material medium to travel, right? But here, what we found out, that light is coming from sun. to us, to our planet Earth. Like you can see here, this is Sun and this is our planet Earth. So from Earth, from Sun to Earth, can we say that there is a vacuum in between? We already know these things, right? That here is vacuum between the Sun and the Earth. We are saying that the whole space is filled with vacuum. Like the space is empty. You can also say that space is empty. There is no particle. There is no medium particle there, right? So if we are saying that from sun to earth the light is coming, the light is traveling, the light is propagating through vacuum. So how is this possible? If we are saying that light is of wave nature and we are saying that again light is traveling from sun to earth in vacuum, can a wave travel in vacuum? Then we said that okay, light is an electromagnetic wave. What is light, students? Light is an electromagnetic wave which also travels in vacuum. How? It travels in vacuum with the help of electric and magnetic field. You can see here that in one direction there is electric field, in the other direction there is magnetic field, and in the direction perpendicular to electric and magnetic field, light propagates. Okay, like if I'll say something to you, if let us take an example here. See, if I am saying that light is propagating, students, see, this is the electric field, okay, and this is the magnetic field, students. So one direction is of electric field, like let us say this is the electric field and this is the magnetic field, and in this direction we say that light propagates. Okay, so that is why it is called electromagnetic wave, because it carries energy in the form of electric and magnetic field. Okay, okay, students. In this way, we can say that the light is a mixture of electric and magnetic wave. Like you see, whenever you stand in sunlight, do you feel heat? What is heat, students? It is a form of energy, right? We already know about heat, that it is a form of energy. So whenever we say that light is propagating in this direction, we will say that in the other two directions, electric and magnetic field, there must be electric and magnetic field which is carrying energy. Actually, the light is carrying energy. Okay, light is carrying energy in the form of electric and magnetic field, because we know in electric and magnetic field energy is stored, right? We already know that half epsilon naught E square is the energy stored in electric field, and B square by 2 mu naught is the energy stored in magnetic field. Okay. So this is how we say that light propagates in this direction, and in one direction electric field is there, and in one direction there is magnetic field, and the energy keeps on propagating. Okay, and the energy keeps on propagating, and light also propagates in the front, in the forward direction. Okay. So this is what we say about light. Now let us move to another point. Other points. See, what is it saying? Light carries energy and momentum. Okay, and other point is the formula for V is equal to F lambda is applicable for light. V is equal to F lambda, we have already studied in modern physics, right? That V is equal to F V is equal to F lambda is the formula for V is the velocity, F is the frequency, lambda is the wavelength, right? So this is applicable to light. Why? Because this is a wave, like V is equal to F lambda. Lambda is what, students? V is equal to F lambda is what? Relation between the like wave parameters. It is the relation between wave parameters. Like V is equal to F lambda. I have talked about lambda, F and C. C is what? Speed of light, right? So we say that V is equal to F lambda is a formula for wave. Okay, it is a formula for wave. And since light is a wave, it also, since light is a wave, it also propagates like this. Okay, it like it also follows this relation. If light is a wave, it follows this relation. Okay, so these are the things. Now students, see what is it saying, that if when light gets reflected in same medium, it suffers no change in frequency, speed and wavelength. It says when light gets reflected in same medium, it suffers no change in frequency, speed and wavelength. Like see, this is the incident ray. This is the incident ray and this is the reflected ray. We already know about reflection, refraction, all these things, right, students? Because we have studied this in our 10th grade already. So here we'll study this in a more advanced form, right? So what we are doing here, we are saying that this is the incident ray and this is the what? This is the incident ray and this is the reflected ray. And if V is the velocity, F is frequency, lambda is wavelength, and I is the intensity, what is happening on reflection, students? On reflection, what is happening? Velocity, frequency, and wavelength, it is not changing, but intensity is changing. Why? Because we already know, like you must have known things, like you see, let us say that this is a surface, okay, and some light is, or yeah, let us say some light is incident on this surface, okay. Now what I say that we all know these things, students, that some part of this light will be reflected, right? Some part will be refracted and some part will be absorbed, right, students? We all already know these things, that light, a part of light is reflected, a part of it is refracted, and the part left is absorbed. So if this is intensity I and this is the intensity I dash, we must say that I will always be greater than I dash, because some of the intensity, some of the energy, it is getting refracted, right? Some of it is getting what? Absorbed, and some is getting reflected. That is why we are saying that this intensity I dash will be less than I, less than the original intensity. Okay. So these are the few things. Now frequency of light remains unchanged when it gets reflected or refracted. See, students, what are we saying? That if light is moving from one medium to another, like let us say that I am saying that this is medium 1 and this is medium 2. Okay. So if light is falling on this interface, on the interface of mediums, what will we say? That this is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray, and this will be the refracted ray. Right, students? This will be what? Refracted ray, this will be the reflected ray, and this will be what? Incident ray. Right? This will be the incident ray, refracted ray, and reflected ray. Okay. So what do we say here? That if light is getting either refracted or reflected, its frequency doesn't change. Okay. The frequency of light, it doesn't change. Either it gets reflected or refracted. Okay. But when we are saying that if it is getting reflected or refracted, the frequency is not changing. But we can say in the case of reflection, nothing changes, right? Frequency, frequency, velocity, and wavelength. All these three parameters remain same during reflection, but when it is refracted, only frequency remains same. Okay, you must keep these things in mind, that only frequency remains constant when the light is getting refracted, but when it is getting reflected, frequency, speed, and wavelength. Okay, this V I am representing this way for frequency. Let us represent it with our conventional parameters. Like this is V is velocity now, F is frequency, and lambda is the wavelength. Okay, so frequency, sorry, velocity, frequency, and wavelength, it doesn't change when light gets reflected, but during refraction, frequency remains constant, velocity also changes, and wavelength also changes. Okay. Now we are talking here about reflection of light, students. Okay, we already know about reflection of light, students, right? Or we don't? Do we know about reflection of light, or we don't? Tell me.
So not sure.
We are not sure. What it says, students. Let us see what do you mean by reflection here. You see, bouncing back of light rays on on falling on a falling on an interface. Okay, let us say that,
Yes, sir.
you see, if I am lighting up a torch, and let us say that if I am lighting up a torch, what will happen, students? The beam will keep on going in the forward direction, right? Here what is happening, that this is one ray, this is the reflected ray. You see students, the light, the bouncing back, what if we are talking about the definition of reflection, what we say, that bouncing back of light ray, what we say for reflection students, it is the bouncing back of light ray on falling on a surface. Okay, let us say on a surface. This is a surface. On falling on a surface, light gets bounced back, and this phenomena is known as reflection. Okay, so when we say that, you see, let us know about few parameters, few terminologies here. That one here we say that the ray which is incident, it is known as incident ray. Okay, this is what, this is known as reflected ray. Okay, students, this is incident ray, this is reflected ray, this is normal. Okay, this is normal at point of incidence, we must say, right? This is normal at point of incidence. Okay, this is the normal at point of incidence. This is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray. Okay, and this is the normal at point of incidence. This is what, student, what is this point? We say this point as point of incidence. Okay, so these are the few points. Now, the angle between incident ray, students, the angle between incident ray and normal is known as angle of incidence. We represent it by small I. Okay. Now, the angle between reflected ray and normal, it is known as angle of reflection. We represent it by small r. Okay. Now, we talk about the laws of reflection, students. We already know about laws of reflection, but still, let us revise it a bit. Okay, what it says, what does the law of reflection say? It says that the first point, it says that the incident ray, reflected ray and normal lie in the same plane, right? What it says, students, incident ray, reflected ray, incident ray, reflected ray and normal, and
So they
incident ray,
all lie on the
reflected.
same plane.
Very good. Incident ray, reflected ray and normal all lie in the same plane. Okay, all lie in the same plane. So this is the first law of reflection. Okay, if we are talking about the second law, what does it say, students? Angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflection. This is the law of reflection. Okay, these are the 2 points, two important points for laws of reflection, which we should keep in mind. Very important for us. Okay, so we say that incident ray, reflected ray, and normal all lie in the same plane, and angle I must equal angle R. Okay, angle I must equal angle R. So angle I is angle of incidence and angle R is what, students? Angle of reflection. So these two angles will always be equal. Okay, if we are talking about this. Now this is reflection, and we talked about the laws of reflection here. Now students will talk about two types of reflection. One is diffuse reflection and one is regular reflection. Regular and diffuse. Diffuse is also called irregular reflection. Like you see, if we are talking about regular reflection, what we say, that if we are sending parallel beam of light on a surface, what we say, that if we are sending a parallel beam of light on this surface, then the reflected rays will also be parallel, right? What we say for regular reflection, what we say, students, that if the incident, like see, these arrows are what, students? Incident rays, right? These are incident rays. This and this. These three are incident ray and these three are reflected rays, right? These are incident rays, these are reflected rays. So if we are talking about regular reflection, students, what we say, that if incident rays are parallel, if incident rays are parallel, reflected rays will also be parallel. Okay, this is what we say about regular reflection. And in regular reflection, this just for our knowledge. Okay, these things are not asked in your exams, maybe, but yeah, just for our knowledge, what we say, that one is regular reflection, one is irregular or diffuse reflection. Okay, so in regular reflection, what happens, that if you send parallel beam of light, if a parallel beam of light is incident on this surface, the rays are reflected like this, and the reflected rays will also be parallel. Okay, so this is how we say that this is a regular reflection. Now we are talking about diffuse reflection. You see here, in diffuse reflection, what we say, if we are sending parallel beam of light, like students, you can see here, this ray, and this ray. All these three rays are what? Incident rays, right? All these are incident rays, which are parallel. You can see from here that these three rays are parallel, but the reflected rays are not parallel, right? If the incident rays here are parallel, reflected rays are not parallel. So this is the example of what? Diffuse reflection. Okay, and what happens here like in this type of reflection, regular and irregular, like if the reflection is taking place from a smooth surface, students, what I am saying that if the reflection is occurring from a smooth surface, what we say, like see here, these are the parallel beam of lights. Now the reflected rays will also be parallel. Okay, this is what we talk about. What type of reflection is this, students? Regular. Okay, this is the regular reflection. Okay. Now if we talk about diffuse reflection, you can see here. See, here the surface is not smooth. Okay, since the surface is not smooth, what do we say, that if light rays are coming like this, I don't know in which direction. One will go like this, other will go like this, one will go like this. Okay, so this is the example of diffuse reflection, students. Okay, in diffuse reflection, what happens, that the rays are not parallel, the reflected rays are not parallel. Okay, now if I ask you a question, that if, can you tell me that is law of reflection followed in diffuse reflection? Can you tell me? I am asking a question. What is that? Just see here, students. Will laws of reflection be followed in diffuse reflection? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yes, sir. Laws of reflection will be followed everywhere, right?
Yeah, very good. Laws of reflection will be followed everywhere. Whatever be the type of reflection, it doesn't matter, but laws of reflection will be followed. Okay, in diffuse reflection, in regular reflection, whatever be the type of reflection, whatever be the situation, whatever it will be. But if the reflection is occurring, there will be laws of reflection will must be followed. Okay, laws of reflection has to be followed. Okay, because if reflection is occurring, laws will be followed. Okay, so we must keep in mind these two things. Now we'll talk about spherical mirrors, students. Now we'll talk about what? We'll talk about spherical mirrors. Okay, before that, let us talk a bit about plane mirror. Okay, we'll talk about a spherical mirror in 5 minutes. Before that, let us talk a bit, not much, but let us talk a bit about plane mirror. Okay. So what we say for a plane mirror, what we say, student? What is a plane mirror? Okay, wait a minute. So what we say about plane mirror is that you say this is how we represent plane mirror. Okay, by a straight line, and on the side we are drawing these small lines. What does this represent, students? This represents silvering. Okay, this represents silvering or painted. This is painted. Okay, this represents the paint. Now if this one surface is painted or one surface is silvered, what do we say? That the other surface is the reflecting surface, right? So this surface will be the reflecting surface. Okay, this surface will be what, student? This will be the reflecting surface. Now if I am saying that here I am having an object here. Okay, I am having what, students? I am having an object here. So you see its image will be formed where, students? Can you tell me where will its image be formed? At the same distance
And
from the object,
yes, sir.
right? Like if the object is at some distance x from the mirror, then the image will also be at the same distance as the object is, right? We already know about all these things, that object and image, they are what? If object is at a distance of x from the uh, at a distance x from this mirror, then the image will also be at the same distance, right? So if you say that, how can you tell me, students, how an image be formed? How image is formed? How image is formed, students? Do we know? When two or more than two, when two or more than two light rays meet, when two or more than two light rays meet or appear to meet. Okay, whenever we say that two or more than two light rays meet or appear to meet, image will be formed. Okay, it's like we must know, like if we are talking about one thing, students, what do we say? That here we are having object, right? So if we are saying that there are light rays which is getting reflected from here, like say this is one ray. Okay, this will be reflected like this. Okay, and this is another ray, right? And this will be reflected again like this, right, students? So you see that when two or more than two light rays meet or appear to meet, or actually we must write here that when two or more than two reflected rays, students. Okay, should we write here? That two or more than two what rays, students? Reflected, reflected or refracted actually, but here since we are talking about reflection only, so we will be talking about reflection only here. Okay, but we must say that for reflection or for image formation, what should happen? That two or more than two reflected rays must meet, okay, or appear to meet. Like you see that this is one ray, this is two rays, these two rays are diverging, right? That the space between these two rays are increasing, right, students? So if we say that if this is increasing, if the distance between these two rays are increasing, if the distance between these two rays is increasing, what do we say? That image will be formed where? At this point. Like we already talked about the image formation when we were talking about this. You see, students, here this will not be the image actually, this will be the image. Okay, this is the point where image will be formed. Okay, so you see, this is your object, this is the incident ray, this is the reflected ray. Now we can see here that reflected rays are diverging, right? Right, students? Here reflected rays are diverging. Can we say that reflected rays will meet in the forward direction? Will they meet in the forward direction? You see, if these two rays are diverging, they will never meet in the forward direction, right? If these two rays are diverging, it will never meet in the forward direction, right? So where will they meet? If they will be produced backwards, it will meet at this point, and this point will be the image. Okay, and now we must say that this image is what, students? Is it real or virtual? It is virtual. Why? Because light rays are not actually meeting at this point. Okay, the light rays are not actually meeting at this point. You must remember these things, that if light rays are actually meeting at some point, then we will say that image will be real. And if the light rays only appear to meet at a point, we will say that the image is virtual. Okay. So here we can say that these two light rays are meeting at this point. Are they actually meeting at this point? At this point I? No, they are not actually meeting. The reflected rays are diverging, so if we move in the forward direction, they will not meet. So what happens here, students? That for our eyes, let us talk about one thing, that our eyes doesn't know about anything like reflection, refraction, anything, any optical phenomena. Our eyes, it doesn't know about these phenomena. Okay, it believes that our eyes believe that the light rays travel in a straight line. Okay, and this is what we call rectilinear propagation of light. Okay, one thing that you must have read in your grade 10th. What does it say? That light, our eyes know that light travels in a straight path. Okay, there is no bending in its way. So if we are the observer and we are standing here or we are sitting here watching this, so for us these two light rays will appear to be coming from this point, right? These two light rays will appear for us, these two light rays will appear to be coming from this point I, right? For us, for this I, or you must say for this observer. Okay, for this observer, what should we say? That for this observer, light, the reflected light rays are coming from this point. So for this observer, image will be formed here only. Okay, at this point. Okay, we say students that the place from where light rays originate is an object. Okay, what we say that a point, a place from where light rays originate is known as object, and the place where light rays meet or appear to meet is known as image. Now, if the light rays meet or appear to meet, if the light rays are actually meeting, we'll say that the image will be real. And if the light rays appear to meet or it just appears to us that light is coming from this point, we'll say that this image is what, students? Virtual. Okay, and there are few properties of real and virtual images which we must keep in mind. Real image will always be inverted, students. Okay, we must say that real images will always be inverted. Okay, real image will always be inverted. One point is this for a real image. One is what? Real image will always be inverted. Okay, and one more thing about real images. What is it? It says that it can be obtained on a screen. It can be obtained on the screen. Okay, so if we are talking about real image, what should we say? That real images will always be inverted. What does inverted mean, students? What does inverted mean? Like if you see if this is the object, this will be the image. If this is the object, this will be the image. If you are talking about real images, if this is the object, this will be the image. Getting my point, all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we say that real images will always be inverted and it can be obtained on the screen. Now let us talk about virtual images, students. Virtual images are always erect. What we say that virtual images are always erect. Okay. Erect means like if you say this will be the object, then this will be the image. Okay, if this is the object, then this will be the image. What we talked about in real images, if this is the object, this will be the image, right? Because the image gets inverted if we are talking about real images. But here in virtual images, what happens, students? What happens? Virtual images are always erect. Okay, and one more point we can say that it cannot be obtained on the screen. It cannot be obtained on the screen. Okay, so we say that virtual images are always erect, real images will always be inverted. Okay, virtual images are always erect. And if we are talking about real image, what we say, it can be obtained on the screen and it cannot be obtained. Like we say, if we are talking about real images, it can be obtained on the screen, and if we are talking about virtual images, it cannot be obtained on the screen. Right. So these are few points related to plane mirror. Also, what happens here? It is what happens here, students? Like if you see, let us take an example. If you are standing in front of your plane mirror, the mirror which is there in your house, and if you lift your right hand, what does the mirror show? It shows that you are raising your left hand, right? This is what mirror does, right? So we say here that if we are talking about nature, position, and size of the image here. Okay, so if we'll be talking about nature, first of all, what will be the nature of the image, students? Virtual. right? The nature of the image is virtual. Size same as object, right? The size of the image will be same as object, and position. What will be the position of the image, students? Can you tell me what will be the position of the image behind the mirror?
The same distance behind mirror.
Very good. Behind the mirror at the same distance as the object. Okay, so we say here that if the object is at x distance, the image will also be at a distance, at the same distance, at the distance x. Okay, students. So here we talked about plane mirror. Now let us move to spherical mirror, students. Okay, since here we are talking about spherical mirrors here, students, what do we say about if we are talking about if we are talking about spherical mirror? What we say, like you see, we take a sphere. What we do, students? We take a sphere and now we cut a part from the sphere. Okay, like this. We cut apart from this what? From the sphere, and this one side of it will be silvered like this. Okay, either this side you can silver, or you can do one more thing, students. What can you do? Just see here, I'll show you what can you do. Like if this is what is this, students? This is a hollow sphere. Now this is the, like we are cutting along this line. Okay, what are we doing, students? We are cutting the mirror along this line. Okay, so now if we silver this side, this will be the another, this will be some another type of mirror. So for this mirror, what we say, what type of mirror is this, students? Do you remember? It is a concave mirror. Okay, if we silver the bulged out surface, it will be what? It will be concave mirror. Okay, and if we silver the bulged in surface, it will be convex mirror. Okay, just keep these things in mind. Okay, one is what? Concave mirror, and the other is convex mirror. Okay, so these are the two types of mirror. Now we are talking about few important terms. Okay, what are those important terms? One is the center of curvature. Like you see, if this is your mirror, students, just see here, look on the screen. If this is your mirror, what mirror is this, students? Obviously concave, right? So we talk about few parameters here, students. We here we talk about few parameters. See, this is the mirror. What type of mirror is this, students? Can you tell me?
Concave mirror, sir.
Very good. Now, this is the center of the mirror. Okay. What we say the center as? Pole. Okay. We say the center of the mirror is called pole. Okay. One thing. Okay. What is the other thing, students? The center of the sphere from which this part is cut will be the center of curvature. It will be what, students? It will be the center of curvature. Now, there is one more point which we call as focus. Okay, I think you already know about focus, right, students? This is point C. This is the pole. C is what, students? Center of curvature. C is what? C is center of curvature. Okay, this C is center of curvature. This is the pole of the mirror. Now we say there will be focus. Okay, and for our analysis, we say that focus is at a distance of, like focus is just between pole and center of curvature. But this is not right. We are talking about para-axial rays here, students. What are we talking about here? We are talking about para-axial rays. What does this para-axial rays means? It means that the incident rays are very close to the principal axis. Okay, so very close to that is why it is known as para-axial rays. Okay, so we talked about center of curvature, we talked about focus, we talked about pole. One more thing here is that we say what do you mean by principal axis? What is principal axis? So for principal axis, what we say that a straight line joining center of curvature. We already know about center of curvature, right? So if a light ray, if not a light ray, if a line is passing through center and pole, center of curvature and pole, then that line will be what, students? It will be okay. So this is the principal axis. This is focus. This is center of curvature. Okay, this is pole. Okay. See, one more thing is there which we call as aperture. What is the aperture, students? So you say that the part from where light is getting reflected from the mirror is known as aperture of the mirror. Like you see, students, this is your mirror. Okay, let us assume that this is your mirror. Okay, and what were we talking about, students? Tell me, what were we talking about? What is principal axis? Right, the line joining center of curvature and pole will be the principal axis. Now we say, well, now we were talking about aperture, right? So what we say, see here that this is your mirror. Okay, so from this point to this point we are having reflecting surfaces here, right? From this point to this point we are having what are we having, students?
So reflecting surfaces.
Very good, reflecting surface. And that area from where light gets reflected is known as aperture. Okay, so if this is the reflecting ray, what will be the aperture of the mirror? This, from this point to this point, this length will be the aperture of the mirror. Okay, got my point, all of you?
Ye-
Sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all of you got my point? Please raise your hands. Okay, so now students, we are talking about a spherical mirror. Okay, this is a spherical mirror, and now we'll be talking about the sign convention. Okay, so what are the sign conventions? Like if we will be learning about the mirror formula, how will we keep the distances? Like how will we solve the problem? So what we say here is that the sign convention says that you see if this will be the direction of incident ray, right? This will be the direction of incident ray. This point is what, student? This is the pole. This will be the focus, and this will be the center of curvature, right? So, what is this length called, student? Do you know? This length is what? Radius of curvature, capital R. Okay, the length of center to from pole, like this is the radius of the sphere from where we cut this. We cut this mirror, right? This is the center of the sphere from where we cut this mirror. So this is the center of curvature, and the radius of the sphere is known as radius of curvature. Okay, so this is radius of curvature R. Okay, now one more thing here, which is this will be the focal length, students. This will be the focal length, which we represent by small f. So one relation here which we should be talking about, which we say that the focal length f is equal to r by 2. Okay, this is a very important relation here, which we say that the focal length equals r by 2. Okay, getting my point, all of you students? Yeah. So this will be the focal length, and this will be the radius of curvature. Okay. So one more thing about which we talk, which is that if you see this, if this is the object, students, you can see here. If you say that this is the object, if this is the object, okay, if this is the object, this distance will be what? This distance will be, you have already studied about all these things in your previous grade, students. When you were in standard, when you were in grade 10th, you must have studied about all these things. Okay. So if this is your object, what is it, students? If this is your object, if this is the object, then this distance we call it as object distance and we represent it by small u. Okay. And one more thing is one more parameter we define here, which is, since u is what? U is the object distance, right? What is u, students? U is the object distance. And what is v? Yeah, it's all right, sir. U is the object distance and v is what? V, we say that v is the image distance. Okay, just the parameters. These are just the parameters. U is the object distance, V will be the image distance, and F will be the focal length. Okay, F will be the focal length, students. Okay, U is object distance, V is image distance, and F will be the focal length. Okay, so these are the few parameters which we should be which we should be keeping in mind. R will be the radius of curvature. R represents radius of curvature. Okay, R represents radius of curvature, F is focal length, V is image distance, U is object distance. Okay, so now we are talking about the sign convention. Okay, the point for, like, see students, everything is written here. I'll just tell you all these things about sign convention. That first of all, what we say, that all distances are measured from pole. That is why I have written this as focal length. All distances I have measured from pole, right? All the distances I have measured from where, students? From the pole. Okay. So what we say, that all distances are measured from pole. This is the first point. Okay. The second point is the distances measured in the direction of incident ray. The distances measured in the direction of incident ray are positive, and the distances measured in the direction opposite to the direction of incident ray are negative. Like you see that if I'll measure this focal length, this u object distance, this r radius of curvature, in which direction we measure these distances, students? Do you remember? Can you tell me that in what distance we measured, in what direction we measured these distances? Can you tell me, students? Like, see, this is the direction in which we measured focal length, object distance, and radius of curvature. Right, in this direction we measured, and this is the direction of incident ray. All distances are measured from the pole, right? So focal length is measured in this direction, right? Object distance is also measured in this direction, and the radius of curvature is also measured in this direction. So can we say that for a concave mirror, focal length, object distance, radius of curvature, all are negative, right? And if I'll say that if I have to measure this distance, like say this point is I and the image is formed at point I. So now we measured from, if we are measuring the image distance, this will be the image distance, students, right? This will be the image distance. Now if we are talking about this image distance, what we say, this will be the image distance from this point to this point. We represent it as by, we represent it by v. Now this image distance we measured in the direction of incident ray or opposite to it? In the direction of incident ray, right? We measured this image distance in the direction of incident ray, so v will be positive. So it's just that if we are measuring the distances in the direction of incident ray, it will be positive. If we are measuring it in the direction opposite to that of the incident ray, we say that, what do we say, students? That these distances measured opposite to the direction of incident ray are negative. Okay. Now one more thing about sign convention. What it says, it says that if the distances are measured in upward direction, upward to the principal axis, it will be positive, and if the distances are measured downward the principal axis, it will be negative. This will be negative and this will be positive. Okay, so this is all about the sign convention, students. uh, did you get my point? If you want to note it down, you can do that. If you want to take the screenshot, you can also do that. And if you are having any problem, you can ask me. Okay, tell me if you are having any problem, students. Is there any problem, students?
Nice, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, 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 students. So this was all about sign convention. Now, see here, students. This is the position of the object. This is the ray diagram, position of image, nature of image, size of image. Okay. Actually, we have studied about these things already. When, students, do you remember? When you were in grade 10th. Okay, we have already studied these 6 cases for concave mirror and these 2 cases for convex mirror. Right, we have already studied these 6 cases for concave mirror and the last 2 cases for convex mirror. This is the image formation, and here we don't talk much about these things, but still it is one thing which we should keep in mind. Like students, I'll just do this thing for you at once. Okay, like see here, this is the mirror. Okay, this is the mirror, this is the principal axis, this point will be the pole, this is what, focus, and this will be the center of curvature, right? So what are the positions where you can keep the object? One you can keep between pole and focus, right? One you can keep at focus. One you can keep between focus and center of curvature. One you can keep at center of curvature. One you can keep beyond center of curvature, means from center of curvature to infinity. One you can keep at infinity. So we are having totally how many cases, students? 6 cases. How many cases, students? We are having 6 cases. Okay, for a concave mirror and 2 cases for convex mirror. Okay, and all those I have summarized here. These are the things which we need, that if the object is at infinity, the image will be formed at focus, nature will be real and inverted, size will be very small. So these are the these are the few parameters which we should be keeping in mind, which we have to keep in mind. Okay, that where should an object be placed to get an image, and where will that image be formed. Okay, and we talk about 3 things here, that one is the position of image, one is nature of image, either it is real or inverted, and the other is size of image. Okay, so we have already done these things in our last grades, so we don't need to waste time on this. Okay, you just have to read it, you will remember. Once you read it, once you will see the pictures, you will remember all these things. Okay, so we don't need to waste our time on this. If you want me to explain, you can tell me. You can tell me, students, if you want me to explain these things. Do you? Tell me, please tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, what?
तो मैं अभी आया तो आई थॉट आपने मेरे को बुलाया.
अच्छा नहीं. Actually, I was asking that these 6 cases are for concave mirror, these 2 cases are for convex mirror, for the formation of images. Okay, and you must have studied all these things in your 10th grade, that where if we'll put an object at infinity, we'll get an image at focus. If we'll put the object at focus, you'll get an image at infinity. All these things, right? We have already studied about these things. Okay, so these are the cases where we can keep these, where we can put the object, where you can keep the object, and you will get an image. Okay, this is how we do it. Okay, so this is for concave mirror. Concave mirror. If we have to talk about convex mirror, what will we do? Like, see, this is the convex mirror, student. This will be the convex mirror again. Okay, for this we can say that this will be the focus and this will be the center of curvature. Can we say that? Because we have silvered this side, the focus, the center of curvature will be at this side only, right? This will be the place where this is on this side. Like if you are talking about center of curvature, it will be on the right side. Okay, and if we talk about sign convention for these, what will we say? Like if this is the object, here object distance will be what, students? Can you tell me? This will be u. U will be what? Positive, negative? Negative. Why? Because this is the direction of incident ray. We are measuring the distance from pole and we are measuring it in the direction opposite to the incident ray. Right? So that is why we are saying that u will be negative. Focal length and radius of curvature, students, can you tell me? Focal length will be negative or positive? Who will say? It will be positive, students. Okay, the focal length will be what? It will be positive. The focal length will be positive. Okay, so focal length will be positive, object distance will be negative. In this case, object distance will always be negative. In this case or in the previous case. Okay, object distance will always be negative. Focal length will be positive. In this case, in the case of which mirror, students? In the case of convex mirror, focal length will be positive, and in the case of concave mirror, focal length will be negative. Right? Getting my point, all of you students? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. One more formula which we should be keeping in mind, that we say it as magnification for mirror. Okay, we are talking about magnification here, students. What is magnification? For a mirror, we say magnification is minus of V by U, or we also say it as height of image upon height of object. Okay, this is the formula for magnification. Okay, it is magnification through a mirror. Okay, this is the formula for magnification through a mirror. Okay, and one more thing we are having mirror formula. Do we know about mirror formula, students? 1 by V plus 1 by U is equal to 1 by F. Right, this is the formula which we have already studied, right? In our previous grades, 1 upon V plus 1 upon U is equal to 1 upon F. Okay, and what will we do, students? We'll derive this equation in our next class. Okay, because the derivation, it will take some time. Okay, so 1 upon V plus 1 upon U equals 1 upon F. This is what? This is the mirror formula. Okay, we say this formula as what? This is the mirror formula. Okay, we'll do this derivation in our next class. Okay, tomorrow is our next class, right? Right, students? Our next class is
Yes.
tomorrow. We'll doing the derivation for mirror formula in our next class. Okay, any problem?
No problem, sir.
No problem,
Okay,
sir.
you understood everything what I taught you?
Yes, sir. Everything
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So now we'll be okay. That's all for today's class, students. Okay, bye bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Thank
you, sir.
you.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, same to you, sir. Thank you.